On the occasion of the museum's 30th anniversary, Kurt Reindl, former director of Tommerup Weaving Mill, was given a special tour by Bent and Knud. Let's turn back time a good 30 years and tell the story of the Flax Weaving Museum in Krengerup.
I became interested in flax because I saw a chance to learn about how people worked with flax manually a few hundred years ago, especially on Funen. In many places there were tools hidden away that could be exhibited. She then made an exhibition at Vestfinns Hjemstavnsgård about flax and flax processing. Then I had put a little note on it. If anyone knows anything about pulling and retting, why don't you just write your name and phone number on it? Kurt Reindl was present, and then there was a connection between Inger Smedegaard and Kurt Reindl. Kurt is such a trickster. Then he poked me like that, so I did like this. And then he stood there. And he said, "I was born in a weaving mill. Can it be used?" Kurt Reindl approaches, probably 2 years later, and we are approximately in 1990 to 91. He has some old machine weaving looms that he would like to donate to the museum. At that time, we were in dialogue with Krengerup Estate, and we got an appointment where we will look at a big barn. Kurt Reindl was there and said that we can't use it at all. Then Kurt turns around and points to this stable and says, "Well, why can't we use that?" I said, "No, I don't think so, because this is where they have their straw for their straw stove, so I don't think so." But Christian Holt goes to the count and says, "This is an opportunity for the estate to have an activity out here if a museum comes up."
And one morning at breakfast, my wife points to a place in the newspaper and says, "Look at that." It was a call for a founding general meeting of something that was to be called the Flax Weaving Museum at Krengerup.
There was a call for a founding general meeting at Lilleskov Tegelwerk, and quite a few people came. I remember it was really nice. A board was formed, so I left with calm, lowered shoulders. So we started there in 1993, when the stable had been emptied of straw. We did everything ourselves. That is, the volunteers who were there, maybe a handful or so. There weren't many of us. Christian Holk, the manager of the estate, he was really good at drawing sketches. And back then it was just the big weaving hall. And then there was an area of the old cowshed. And there we made a tiny cafe, and then the kitchen that we still have. So it was a tiny area that we only had back then.
Even though the looms had been disassembled, they had to knock a large hole in the wall to get them out. The ceiling above the looms had been removed, and a strong steel structure had been built to support the heavy overhead machines. The next step was to connect the overhead machines and the loom itself with harness threads.
Without Kurt Reindl helping us setting up those looms, we never would have been able to do it.
On May 5th, 1994, the first loom could be started, and of course it was celebrated in a proper way. The goal was to create a working museum that would show the textile industry as it looked more than 100 years ago. Large, complicated machine looms controlled by punch cards for the production of the finest textiles. On July the 9th, 1994, the Flax Weaving Museum at Krengerup was inaugurated. The Counts Rantzau and son arrived in full regalia together with Kurt and Tove Reindl. Kurt Reindl had the honor of cutting the flax cord and declaring the museum at Krengerup for open. After a series of speeches, the guests were given a guided tour. During the season, the museum has always been open to visitors in the afternoon or by appointment. This meant that the machines could be used before noon.
It was already from the start, Monday and Wednesday, that people worked with the looms. The museum has been driven by volunteers all the way through.
There was great interest in the museum, but there was not room for everything that was wanted, which led to the lease being extended in 1999 with the rest of the former cowshed. The extension opened up new initiatives. The entrance for visitors was moved from the gable end of the machine weaving hall so that one now entered the new shop cafe area. There was space for a new large cafe with kitchen and toilets. The cafe now had the opportunity to have changing exhibitions throughout the season. There was a new spacious shop where one could buy textiles from the museum's own production, which, together with the ticket revenue, made a significant contribution to the museum's operations. The new location also provided space for a nice large exhibition area, where the museum's permanent theme exhibition was given such attractive conditions that exhibitors themselves began to approach. In the weaving hall, the finishing room was given its own room, so that work could be done without the noise from the weaving machines. The expansion also marked the beginning of an evening school. My wife and I had both the museum and our weaving school in Glamsbjerg. But at some point we were allowed to move our weaving school out here, on the condition that we only brought the looms here after Christmas, and that we removed them again before the big cleaning of the museum for the opening of the season. And Lisa Biller got the museum's evening school included under the Public Education Act. So now it could also offer courses in plant dyeing. The story of flax and flax preparation was given a permanent place at one end of the weaving hall.
All our guests are offered a tour here on site, and there is always a demonstration of how we process flax, from when it is standing and retted, how we break, scutch and hackle it, and some of us also show how we spin it, and they can see how we weave it on our looms. I came out here as a volunteer in 2006, and one of the first people I met was Gunhild Berg, and she said, "Hello and welcome, now you're here, we're going to have a school service." The exhibition space was vacant from the autumn holidays until Christmas, and so we made offers to all the schools in Assens. They had to weave a piece of fabric, and then volunteers finished and assemble it, whether it was going to be a pillow or a bag or whatever it could be made into. It was important that they came home with a finished product. I was employed at Drislet School, and an invitation came from the Flax Weaving Museum. Then I came out here and experienced that there was one adult per child to give a helping hand. It was simply so good.
The conversation was always lively during the coffee breaks on work days. New ideas often came up. The idea came up that we should renovate the attic, and we were looking for funds, and we did that for many years. The plan was to renovate the first floor over a large part of the museum. In 2021, was enough money donated to make the extensive renovation possible. The weaving loft was inaugurated on November 24th, 2021.
Now we have this lovely space up here with lots of looms. Permanent space for all the looms for the school service, and for all the other looms. I think there are 28 in total. We can therefore run up to 50 courses a year. We really like that the Flax Weaving Museum is a place where people come to gain knowledge. We have students from all over the country.
In 2023, a brand new dyeing workshop was ready for use. A cabin was built. It can be used by the dyeing workshop and for flax preparation. The coffee room was equipped with soundproof ceiling panels. In 2024-25, soundproof ceiling panels were installed in the cafe, kitchen, shop, and exhibition area. A completely new kitchen with a new industrial dishwasher was added, and as the icing on the cake, a new lighting system with almost 100 new spotlights. Can we go another 30 years with exclusively volunteer labor? That was a big concern when we started, because there were maybe less than 10 people who built this museum at the time. And now we have more than 90 volunteers. So I'm not worried. I can sense that there is an energy in this house that is completely unique. They don't just want to meet and knit and drink coffee. They also want to develop and make things into something we can use, so that we can develop the museum, because that is our task. The Flax Weaving Museum has received donations over the years, such as textiles worthy of preservation.
Everyone gets a number which is sewn in like this. So all the objects have a number, come in a box that also has a number, so you always can find which box it is in.
Yes, it's a fairy tale. And it's great to see that the fairy tale has developed. More than 30 years have passed. The volunteers cut chains, maintain the many punched cards, and continuously renovate the old industrial looms so that fine textiles can continue to be produced. The finished linen goods are checked in the finishing room and then sold in the shop, all thanks to the enthusiasm of the volunteers.